Sunday Baroque Conversations is made possible by the Friends of Sunday Baroque and is produced at WSHU Public Radio in Fairfield, Connecticut. I'm Suzanne Bona. Thank you for listening. Don't miss an episode of Sunday Baroque Conversations. Subscribe on Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. And please leave us a review. If you want to find out where you can listen to our weekly show, visit our website, sundaybaroque.org, for a station list and our 24/7 stream. Again, that's sundaybaroque.org. Will Liverman is a Grammy-nominated operatic baritone. He trained at Wheaton College in Illinois, where he received his Bachelor of Music, and he earned his Master of Music degree from the Juilliard School. Will Liverman's many awards include being recipient of the 2022 Beverly Sills Artist Award by the Metropolitan Opera. He's acclaimed for both dramatic and comedic roles, and his musical interests range from tried-and-true repertory to cutting-edge contemporary works. Will Liverman has even co-written and starred in an opera that premiered in February 2023. In 2021, he released his album Dreams of a New Day, Songs by Black Composers, with pianist Paul Sanchez. It's a collection of works by composers including Damian Sneed, Henry Burley, H. Leslie Adams, Margaret Bonds, and others, plus a world premiere recording by Sean E. Opebolo and Will Liverman's own beautiful arrangement of Richard Farina's Birmingham Sunday. The album debuted at #1 on the Billboard Traditional Classical chart. Will Liverman joins me by phone to talk about his life in music. Welcome.
Hi, how you doing?
Great. Such a great honor to speak with you.
Oh, yeah, happy to be here.
I would like to begin with in the beginning. So what was your introduction to music as a child?
I was introduced at an early age, probably like 4 or 5. I think I was about 5. And I got started on piano. And my parents, were really adamant about me taking music lessons. So I started in piano, and also growing up in church had a big, gospel music was a heavy influence as well. So between those two styles of music, they were kind of like the pillars for me. Yeah. And sort of the blueprint of what I knew about music and, what I learned at an early age.
So what motivated your parents to be so adamant about those piano lessons at 5? Are they musicians, or what's their experience with music?
Yeah, they actually are both musicians in their own right. My dad, he studied a little bit of piano and majored in trumpet for like a year in college. So he he loves jazz, and he really is big on music and wanted me to take lessons. And my mom is a gospel singer, and sang in the church, and had a professional career herself as a singer. So I think between the both of them, they wanted music to be a part of my life in some way. I don't think they would foresee that I'd end up as an opera singer, but I'm very thankful for getting started so young in music, because those things still serve me to this day.
Do you still play piano?
Yeah, I still play. For myself, or if I'm writing my own stuff, but yeah.
So when and how did you realize that music really is your calling?
Man, I think I always knew I wanted to do something in music, because it was, I really latched onto it fast. I guess I realized opera was something that I realized could have been a career when I was in school. I got into opera because of the Governor's School of the Arts program that was in Norfolk, Virginia. And it was an all-performing arts high school, and they had different programs like dance and musical theater, visual arts, and they had a vocal program. And so that was my pathway into classical singing. And I did that for 4 years. In addition to going to my regular public high school. So if you were a Governor's School kid, you went to basically 2 high schools.
Whoa.
And so it was a very intensive, all year round program. So somewhere around the time, like my senior year of high school, I decided that, classical singing was going to be something I wanted to pursue at the collegiate level. I just, went down that path.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So who were some of your important teachers and mentors, particularly in those formative years and as well along the way? Who were some of the people that sort of, steered you along and gave you that foot up?
Yeah. I would say probably both of my teachers at the governor's school. Oh, well, no, I have to go back to my piano teacher, Martha Berryman, who I call her like my musical mother because she, was the one that taught me theory and got me started in piano. I took lessons with her up until basically high school when I started the governor's school program. So for about 8 to 10 years, and she was the one who inspired me to do governor's school for piano. And then when I realized I could sing, you could audition for multiple programs. I did piano and voice, and ended up going with voice. And then at the governor's school, I would say Mr. Alan Fisher, who ran the department, the vocal department, and my voice teacher and the chorus master, the late Robert Brown, who really was like, I guess, my musical father in a lot of ways, because he, was my first voice teacher, taught me a lot about singing and being a great musician. Just a lot of, fundamental things, that the three of them have, instilled in me that really have helped make me the artist I am today.
How beautiful. Do you do any teaching yourself or master classes or anything like that?
Well, it's funny you say. Yeah, I'm in Tanglewood currently working with some of the fellows here on some art song, and so this is my second season, and doing this, and I worked a little bit at Aspen Music Festival, coaching some of the singers, and it was actually something that because you don't think. I mean, for me, I'm still like in the middle of my career. I'm not like a seasoned veteran or anything, but like I also am not a rookie either. So I feel like I do have. Well, I guess I didn't realize how much I had to offer for younger singers, and I really enjoy teaching or like coaching rather, and working with singers. I find it's really. My dad was a teacher, so I feel like I have that gene in me somewhere. And so I've been doing more of that as of late. In the past year or so. Yeah.
That's cool. So in addition to your dad, do you when you're coaching these younger up and coming aspiring musicians, like do you have your dad's voice or your these other teachers and mentors like Martha Berryman? Like do you hear them? Like are they influencing what you do and what you say with your students?
Oh yeah, and that and like all the coaches who I've worked with in the past, like coaches that I really glean a lot from. I feel like that's kind of what it is. Teaching is like just passing information along. They learn from their teachers and the teachers before them. So I like, things that work for me and things that really, help me along the way as a musician and an artist. I, try to pass on to the next generation.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your album, Dreams of a New Day, the title as well as the choices of music on it. How did you come up with the title? I'd love for you to talk about that, please.
I think it came from, we programmed Damien Sneed's I Dream a World. And, the album itself, it started with the commission of Two Black Churches, which is a piece by Sean O'Peblo, and it takes a look at the Birmingham bombing and the shooting of Charleston, and just the Black experience in America, and putting a lens on race relations and racial justice. so I think the dreams, is like a kind of a look towards the future and like what we hope our country could be,
Yeah.
or the world,
Yeah.
and seeing each other and having just like a base level of some humanity. So we kind of built it from Black churches, and then we added I Dream a World by Damien Sneed, the three dream portraits by Margaret Bonds. So coupled with that, there's some themes of that, and also it features all Black composers. And we just sort of built a program of that, and it really was impactful because it came along at a time we recorded it during the pandemic. Post.
Right.
I think this was around the time of George Floyd's murder, and there's the tensions were really high in the country, and being able to come to a place and record that album. It was my first time with Paul and I working, with someone in person.
Yeah.
And being able to collaborate was a very special thing. So it was, meaningful for all of us. Sean was there.
Oh, nice.
It was a very special project.
Tell me a little bit about Paul Sanchez. It's a beautiful recording, and I'd love to find out how you know one another and what you appreciate most about his artistry.
Oh, yeah. Paul is such a great collaborator. I love working with him. And I met him through Sean O'Pebble because actually the three of us have a project that we did in, 2013 or 14 now.
Oh, wow.
It was my very first time recording. It's an album of Sean's reimagined spirituals that he arranged. And Paul, who at the time they both are, Sean's still at Wheaton College, but at the time they were I went to Wheaton College, and they were professors there, and we recorded that album, and so that's how I got a chance to meet Paul and to get to work with Sean. And we've been collaborating ever since. We just recorded another album of Sean's compositions that I think will be released sometime next year. He's great. He's such a sensitive player and very in tune with, this instrument and how that speaks with the voice and just the inner workings of, how he approaches musical line is really special. So he's a great guy.
Yeah, wonderful. So speaking of collaborations, you're composing too, and you collaborated with DJ multi-instrumentalist DJ King Rico to create your opera based on or sort of inspired by the Barber of Seville, the Factotum. I'd love for you to talk about that, basically set it up and talk a little bit about how that evolved and how the collaboration evolved.
Yeah. Gosh, I could talk for hours.
Well, go right ahead.
I'll do the short version. So Rico and I went to high school together at that governor school that I told you about. He started in voice and then switched to jazz and then majored in production. So he is a producer and is a DJ and works a lot in mainstream music. And so I kind of pulled him back over to the classical side when I told him about this idea I had of updating this Barber of Seville story and putting it in a Black barbershop. And we started working on the project in 2018. And it was meant to be more of a concept album. And over time, when the pandemic happened, we started working. We ended up, it was kind of an unexpected thing. We started workshopping the piece for the Lyric Opera of Chicago because everything was sort of at a standstill. So we had this opera, and the Lyric Opera needed to search for programming for their season because they still had their young artists there. They were kind of stuck, doing different remote projects and things. And it's it's kind of it was nothing to lose really. We did a workshop, and then that ended up being a second workshop, and then it led to a premiere. And but it all started with Rico and I just in the studio. And the whole goal of it was really to add something to the canon, for the kids, the people who, young kids who maybe don't know anything about opera and approaching it through different forms of music. Can classical singing exist in styles like gospel, a bit of, R&B flavor and funk and hip hop and like basically all the styles we love, including and classical included. We love, to find ways to fuse those things and to see, how it all can speak. And so that's how that project came about, and we're currently re-workshopping it in Portland in January. So hopefully it's good to revisit the project and to continue working on it and, taking what we learned from the premiere and, making it better.
That's cool. Do you have any plans in the works for another composition, collaboration either with Rico or anybody else?
Yeah, I'm working on, I'm always releasing albums. My friends always make fun of me. It's like, you're always putting out music. I released a project of my own compositions inspired by the works of Paul Dunbar, the poet, and his ex-wife, Alice Moore, or Alice, the name that she was married to, it was escaping me. But anyway, back when they were married, they wrote a lot of poems together, and I went through and found so many beautiful poems by Paul and Alice that I set like 6 of them and put out like an EP. So now I'm doing a second album, like a more fuller album of art songs to their or setting their poetry to music. So that project will be, I think, released maybe next April or May. It'll be like a bigger undertaking. I'll have some of my friends come and sing some songs.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Cool. Is Paul Sanchez going to be part of that as well?
I'm not sure yet. We're still like in the early phases. And the last one I played for the songs. But it'll be nice to bring in more collaborators and have people, or just to it'll be it's always interesting to hear other people play your stuff to get it. Everyone has a different approach and a different perspective. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Cool. What other projects do you hope to embark on as a musician? I don't know, any other things you want to do, rep you want to perform? What's on your short list, your wish list as a musician?
Wish list?
Yeah.
An opera. I love to do a Don Giovanni, or I love all the other baritone rap I can't sing yet. It's all of the heavy stuff like Tosca, Scarpia's Dream Roll. A lot of those big standards that, the things that made me fall in love with opera. It would be like a long-term dream if I'm able to sing that rep in a few years. Minus the Don G. I'm just hoping to do that at some point soon. And I love concert work. I've been doing more and more of that. Like I'm doing a War Requiem in a few weeks. Elijah was a dream role to do, the oratorio by Mendelssohn. I did that just this past few months in D.C. and just expanding on, the things, because I've done so much new music, which has been great, and it's been a very important part of my career. I take honor in being a champion of new music and supporting composers who are really brilliant and, writing things of the now, art imitating life. I think it's important that we have that new work holds up space in the world. But of course, I love the standards, and the things I haven't had a chance to do. I would love to get a chance to sing some of the old standard war horses, and to continue, writing and seeing what happens. I love collaborating with people and making up new projects. My big thing that I always tell younger singers is like, don't, especially in this day and age, to not wait for permission to do anything. And I feel like we have this mindset coming out of school where it's like we're waiting for someone to tell us, to do this or that, And it's good. Of course, we have mentors in our team and people to help guide us. But, at the end of the day, you have to take responsibility and make the thing happen. So I've been really trying to push myself to pursue the things that I want to and kind of, find the support and do what it takes, because especially when it's something you believe in too, I think that's the most important thing. And believing that art still matters and it can still make an impact on the world. I think that's what I try to hold on to.
So you're super busy, obviously, doing all these things all over the world. But is there anything else that you are passionate about right now, musical or otherwise? Is there something that really grabs you, that you're really excited and passionate about?
Beyond music, I don't know. I love, my family being at home, and I think the more I do this, the more important that is for me to spend time with my family and loved ones in the community. It's crazy. So much of what I do is all music-based that sometimes I'm not, I just have kind of tunnel vision into that, and it takes up so much space. Outside of music, I would just say, taking the free time that I have to really cherish the moments that you have with the people that matter. I think that was a perspective shift during the pandemic when it all stopped. We sit there and think about if I wasn't in music, what are the things that still makes me, outside of what we do. Community and family was a big one for me.
Well, that you've just actually raised a really interesting question. So, if it weren't for music, what would you be doing? What was there a close second in your life that you had to sort of go down one path or the other?
There's whether it was teaching music or doing piano or music has just always been in my world that I really don't know anything else or not that I don't know anything, but I'd never envisioned myself doing anything else outside of the realm of music, maybe except for I had a dream to, because I'm a big nerd, I love games, I wanted to be a video game creator if I wanted to be, but I don't know the first thing about it, but it was something I feel like I would have maybe pursued if I didn't do music. Something digital wise, because I'm a big tech nerd and I love that. So
I see maybe a video game soundtrack in your future.
Actually, I was talking about that when I was in LA. I was like, man, it'd be really cool to land a gig making video game music or something. That could be fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to know that there is no close second, that you're in music and you're in it for life. That's good news for all of us who admire your artistry so much.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I have been speaking with baritone Will Liverman about his remarkable, wonderful career as an opera singer and a composer. I cannot thank you enough for making time to chat today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
To me, whither must I wander? Hunger my driver, I go where I must. Cold blows the winter wind over hill and heather. Thick drives the rain.